Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at the Legion Go S versus the Legion Go. We're going to take a look at some game performance across a number of titles, as well as different power settings. We'll also compare the screens, the sound, as well as the ergonomics of the devices, so that when you're deciding to pick up a Legion Go, you know which one to get. We'll dive straight into some gameplay. Both devices are running at the same settings. First up is Spiderman 2. We have the Legion Go S on the left and the Legion Go on the right. At max TDP, we're getting about 10 to 15 frames in the advantage of the Legion Go. At 30 watts, it seems to follow the same pattern as well. And at 25 watt, same story here. We have about a 10 to 15 frame advantage for the original Legion Go. And at 15 watts, same story here, except now our advantage is closer to 15 to 20 FPS for the Legion Go. For Baldur's Gate 3, we're getting about a 15 frame advantage for the Legion Go, and at 40 FPS, 15 FPS is quite dramatic, so it's a big bump up here for the Legion Go, which carries on through 30 watts, and when we take a look at 25 watts, same story, seems to be about a 10 to 15 frame advantage. However, when we drop down to 15 watts, then the advantage drops. We only have about an 8 to 10 FPS advantage for the Legion Go here. Next up is Cyberpunk, and at the highest TDP, we have a major advantage for the Legion Go here. It's like almost double the FPS. We're at like 95 versus 60. At 30 watts, the advantage is, again, about double. Then at 25 watts, our advantage for the Legion Go is probably somewhere around 35%, which is pretty significant. And lastly, taking a look at 15 watt, it seems to have leveled out a little bit here. We only have about a 10 frame advantage for the Legion Go. Moving over to Helldivers 2, we have like a 25 frame advantage here at max TDP. Interestingly, moving down to 30 watts, our FPS is almost double on the Legion Go. It's pretty crazy, the difference here. Both the CPU and GPU seem quite taxed on the Legion Go S if you look at the results at the top left of the screen there. Things seem to level out a little bit at 15 watts. We only have about a 10 to 15 frame advantage for the Legion Go. Then for Grand Theft Auto 5 at 15 watts, we have about a 20 to 25 frame advantage for the Legion Go. Interestingly enough, when we go down to 8 watts, it seems to level out. They are performing pretty much the same here. Another odd game here is The Witcher 3. The devices are actually performing almost the same. Like we have 70-ish FPS on both. Maybe a slight advantage for the Legion Go, but not substantial. There's still definitely an advantage for the Legion Go, but it's not as dramatic as some of the other games. Because here we're at like in the 70s and we're in the 60s for the Legion Go S, so not that big of a difference. And when we get down to 15 watt, it seems to level out. They're performing the same again. And when we go down to 10 watt, then again, we're performing very similar between the two devices here. Now for Doom Eternal, this game runs well on pretty much everything. So we're over 100 FPS when we're at the max TDP here on both devices. Now at 30 watt, both devices are running fairly similar. There's a little bit of an advantage for the Legion Go, but it's like maybe 10 frames. Definitely not as dramatic as some of the other games that we were looking at. Same story for 25 watt, seemed to be like a 10 frame jump for the Legion Go. At 15 watt, the gap widens a little bit. We're at about like 20 frames or 30 frames higher on the Legion Go. And interestingly enough, when we get down to 10 watt, both devices are running pretty much the same here. Fallout New Vegas running at 10 watts seems to be pretty much 60 FPS on both devices, and when we drop down to the minimum TDP of 5 watts, then we do see an advantage here for the Legion Go. It's running closer to 30 FPS. So as you can see for the performance, it's kind of a mixed bag. The Legion Go is consistently performing better, but there are some games where they're running fairly similar, and other games where it's almost doubling the FPS. Moving on to the screens, both devices actually look fairly similar. They're both beautiful displays. They're not OLED, they're both IPS, but I would say that they're quite similar. There's a couple minor differences. Like what I see is that the Go is a little bit more vibrant, where the Go S is slightly brighter. So I don't know, they're so close though that I would say that like, I don't know if I would have noticed unless I put the two side by side like this. So as far as IPS displays, they're top notch. So I don't think the display is going to be any hindrance for anyone that was looking to purchase one of these. Honestly, you're going to get a beautiful display. The displays are quite similar to each other, but one thing that's not similar is the speakers. So let's take a really quick look at that and I'll do a quick audio test. As you can hear from this very brief test, the Legion Go S absolutely destroys the Legion Go when it comes to the speakers, and also being front facing, you're going to hear it a lot more clear. Mind you, both these tests had the mic pointed directly at the speakers, so this was the best case scenario for both devices. Now imagine the Legion Go not having the speakers pointing towards you, so the difference is quite dramatic here between these two. Next, I really quickly wanted to go over the controls and the ergonomics between these two devices because they are quite different. First up with the joysticks. The joysticks on the Go were quite small and a little bit loose. I wasn't really the biggest fan, but they've definitely made some improvements on the Go S. Like you can see, there's a much larger range of motion, and they're also quite a bit tighter. The D-pad is also greatly improved. On the Legion Go, I wasn't really a fan. Like it's super tight and flat. So not a lot of roll to it, where on the Go S, we have a disc style, which normally I'm not the biggest fan of, but I do prefer it over what they had on the Legion Go. Trackpads, the trackpad is far superior on the Go. It's much larger and a little bit more responsive, where what we have on the Go S, I'm glad that we have something, but it's pretty small and it's okay for navigating windows, but it's very hard to get precise movements. The face buttons, they actually feel pretty similar. Like they're kind of clicky, but they're also membrane. I would say that they almost feel identical, so very little change there. The bumpers and triggers, there's a bit of changes here. The bumpers feel really good on the Legion Go. Like they're clicky, but they're also soft, so they don't feel like overly clicky, I'll say. And the triggers are nice and tight, which is really good to see. And they feel really good to wrap your finger around. Like your fingers kind of feel natural on it. So great bumpers and triggers on the Go. Looking at the Go S, we have a very clicky set of bumpers here, which isn't the end of the world. It's just a little bit loud, so something that might get a bit annoying, but you can get used to it. The triggers they're good. Like they don't feel quite as tight as the Legion Go, but that's not a huge deal for me. Having these hair triggers though, like these little trigger stops, is kind of nice. So you can see I have a hair trigger here, but if I turn it off, then I get the full motion. So I do really like that. One other thing is the back buttons. We have two back buttons on the Go S, which is very comfortable, kind of fits where your fingers are naturally laying. Where on the Go, they're kind of awkward because of FPS mode. We have two that are horizontal here that are kind of uncomfortable to use. Like one's like against the middle of your finger and the one's over here. And then here we have two vertical buttons. So not my favorites, but I think that's when you try to do something different like FPS mode, you have to modify it. Overall, they do feel much different to hold. Like the Go S is extremely comfortable. It's got the nice rounded corners, and the grips, I would say, are top tier, like very, very comfortable. One of the most comfortable handhelds I've used, and I do really like that. The Go, it's not uncomfortable, but it does definitely feel heavier, and the grips, like, they're pretty large, which I do like, but it's not quite as comfortable as the Go S here. So overall, as far as ergonomics, I would say that the Go S is the better of the two. There's things that I like about the Go, but honestly, the Go S overall just has more positives. Before we move on to the summary, I wanted to show you a quick breakdown of some of the basic specs, so let's take a quick look here. Starting with the Legion Go S, we have the AMD Z2Go chip with 32GB of RAM, an 8-inch 1200p display with VRR, a 55.5 watt-hour battery, and it comes in at 730 grams. Then for the Legion Go, we have an AMD Z1 Extreme APU with 16GB of RAM, an 8.8 1600p 144Hz display, a 49.2 watt-hour battery, and it weighs 854 grams with the controllers attached. And now for a really quick summary, the Legion Go S is a device that I really want to love. With the current APU though, with the Z2Go, it definitely underperforms compared to the Z1 Extreme. And at the current price point, I would say that everyone would be better off going with the Legion Go versus the Go S at this time. However, they are coming out with some new APUs for the Go S, so I would relook at it then when SteamOS is out, the prices drop a bit, and they also have some other APU options. Hopefully this video is helpful in determining the difference between the two devices, and if you are on the market to buy one, helping you make a decision. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.